administration is overhauling their border protection plan, ditching the controversial accelerated training program used to rapidly deploy new ICE agents. And now we're getting exclusive insight into how new acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is tightening the legal clamps on cartels and holding the people who allow them to operate responsible. Our senior national border correspondent, Allie Bradley, spoke with Blanche today, joins us live now. So, Allie, what updates did you get on border security?
Yeah, so we ran the gamut here on the acting attorney general. He may be new to his role here, but he's got his work cut out for him when it comes to fraud, to the cartels. So when it comes to the criminal cartels, right now the administration is putting a lot of pressure on Mexico, saying they need to deal with their corruption. But in the meantime, Todd Blanche tells us that they're using a whole of government approach to go after the criminal organizations and actually dismantle them from the inside. Take a listen to what he had to say about these criminal organizations that have been designated as terrorist organizations.
Well, we're working very closely with the Department of War, with State Department, with our partners in Mexico and in South America, and we're re-energizing our efforts. So it's really something that DOJ shifted about a year ago to really go after the leadership of these cartels, and the way that we go after them is an all-government approach. Department of War is helping, our intelligence community is helping, and then also the DOJ in building cases against them. And I think the risk for those leaderships is that in the past they might have felt protected where they lived, that they could avoid arrest, avoid prosecution, and avoid extradition. I don't think they feel that anymore, and that's what we want. We want them to be afraid that if they get arrested, they're going to end up in Chicago, they're going to end up in New York, San Diego, Texas, which is our goal.
And when it comes to fraud across the nation, the DOJ did create new task forces to go after healthcare fraud, but there are still questions in both Minnesota and Maine when it comes to fraud there. So take a listen to what he had to say about those cases that are ongoing.
If you're saying, and maybe I went too granular, if you're saying how come leadership hasn't been held accountable, that's something that President Trump's talked a lot about. That's something that we're very focused on. Is if there's two things, right? Is a governor just not doing his job, and this is happening, or is the governor actually helping the fraud by affirmatively shutting down compliance programs, by not focusing enough on making sure there's some guardrails around their programs? And that's when it becomes something more than just you're a bad governor to you're actually helping people commit crimes.
Now, when it comes to immigration, he did say that they're going to maintain their posture where they're prosecuting 100% of the people who cross the border illegally. I asked him, why are they going to maintain that posture? And he said, well, it's the law, so they're going to continue to enforce the law, Nichole.
All right, so Allie, when it comes to voting, did the acting AG say anything about federal officials potentially at polling locations?
Yeah, we did talk about that. We talked about the opportunity, or the possibility, rather, of federal law enforcement being at these polling locations. He did say that federal law obviously generally prohibits federal law enforcement from being at these locations, but he said he doesn't understand why people wouldn't support that. Take a listen to this.
If you're here illegally, you are not allowed to vote. So I also am not sure of the uproar of the risk of having a Border Patrol or an ICE agent at a polling location, or looking into whether somebody is voting that shouldn't be. If you are here illegally, you cannot vote. And so what's the risk? Why wouldn't everybody in Washington, everybody in the United States be supportive of that to make sure that people that are here illegally are not voting?
Now, we also talked about leveraging Border Patrol's databases in order to figure out who would be voting if they're here illegally or not, Nichole. So we could potentially see that come midterm election season. Nichole?
Yeah, certainly some people concerned about potential voter intimidation. So we'll monitor that. Allie Bradley with that exclusive. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.